All right, welcome back.
Welcome.
I'm Graham.
I'm Ashkahn.
And our question for today is, lately I've noticed small bubbles tickling me during my floats. They also seem to be forming on the floor of the tank. What is going on?
What is going on, huh?
All right, well, bubbly in the U.S., we've got a solution for you.
We sure do. It sounds to me like you're using hydrogen peroxide.
If I were to guess, I would say the same thing. Or like you've got an aerator hooked into the bottom of your tank.
Yeah, which I suspect it's not the second one.
I've never seen that ever in my life before. So
are you in a jacuzzi and not a float tank? Is that what's going on here? So basically hydrogen peroxide breaks down into oxygen and water when it's reacting with stuff. And so if you have a lot of hydrogen peroxide in your float tank, you might start being able to actually notice the air being created from that kind of breakdown process of the peroxide. And that's basically what you're feeling. You're feeling tiny air bubbles from the hydrogen peroxide.
And for us, we end up getting that effect in our float tanks when we get above around 100 parts per million.
Yeah, somewhere in that like 100, 110. That's kind of the range where we start to notice the bubble issue.
And that's as measured by the old Taylor drop test kit, K1826.
Yep, which has been verified to be accurate in float tank water.
Yep, which you can look up. That's Taylor Labs actually tested our float water after we harassed them for a long time. So you might find that those parts per million are different if you're using test strips or something else. And also if you are, I highly recommend switching over to the old K1826.
Basically that. Just don't put your peroxide to those levels. Drop lower than that, and you won't see those bubbles.
And that said, I still occasionally get bubbles even when we're within regular hydrogen peroxide levels, but it's not like bubbles tickling your back. I'll just kind of occasionally feel them forming on my back, or something came up and I just have like one bubble that's caught and tickling me. And I don't think that's even that out of the ordinary. That's kind of just...
No, and it's way more subtle. This is like almost continuous while you're floating. You're kind of feeling these things if your levels are too high.
If you bring it up to like 400, 500 parts per million accidentally, one of your staff drops way too much in there. Sometimes you can actually even see the bubbling in the water itself visually, which is kind of interesting. Looks like a little cauldron brew or something in there.
So don't do that.
And that's, I guess, another question. Is that unsafe? Are the bubbles a sign that your skin is being eaten by the hydrogen peroxide or anything crazy like that?
Not really that I know of. The other thing that can happen with these levels of peroxide is you can very slightly start to bleach people's hair, which is another issue. So those are like the main reasons people don't want to go above these kind of like 100 limits. I don't really know. I can't really speak kind of authoritatively on this, but people are buying 3% hydrogen peroxide in those kind of brown bottles from the grocery store and gargling with them and putting them on wounds. And 3% is 30,000 parts per million is what that is. I think like even the highest thing I've heard tested was 1,000 parts per million, and that didn't seem to do damage to people. But again, like don't take my word for this. But it at least seems like anecdotally out there that you're not... It's not like 100 is like a danger zone or when these bubbles are forming. I have not heard anything about that actually being a point where this would be harmful to your skin or to even if you got it in your eyes necessarily.
Yep, to your taxes.
Yeah.
No real damage that we've been able to assess anywhere. As far as we can tell, this is actually the most negative byproduct you get, pretty much, is little bubbles and maybe bleaching of the hair.
Yeah, around that range. So that's why most people stop there. And there's not really... Also, as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like you get a huge benefit from having hydrogen peroxide levels much higher than that. Like, it seems like their kind of ability to oxidize and do the things that they're doing peter off, like, around, 40, 50, 60 parts per million, something like that. And, like, you're not getting a huge bang for your buck by dumping a ton of peroxide into the water.
Is there anything else that we think is likely to be causing bubbles in someone's tank? I was just trying to think of that while we were talking, and thinking and talking is hard, so I decided to do one at a time.
I mean, so the bubbles, like tiny bubbles as you're floating or something like that, is almost always hydrogen peroxide. And the other thing that can cause bubbles is a small leak in your filtration system, right? Like if you have a pinhole leak near a union or something like that, and then when you run your filtration system, or if your water levels are too low and your filtration system is sucking air in as you run it, then but that's real obvious. Like you run your filtration system, all of a sudden your whole float tank's like cloudy because air has been going through the pump bubbles, and it's been like chopped up like a blender and it gets sent back in. But then that dissipates pretty quickly too.
Right. That's like a problem at the beginning of the float, but not something that would be ongoing. So I really assume that this is high. They even say small bubbles.
Right. Like visually here. Those are so different, like tiny bubbles that are kind of persistent in the water during your float versus like your whole float tank turns cloudy white for 10 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, answered?
I guess so.
All right, perfect. In that case, if you have more questions that need to be demolished, go to floatanksolutions.com/PODCAST.
Podcast is what that spells.
And we'll answer them.
Bye.